Hey, guess what? It's time for Making Kayfabe with your hosts, Bryce and Dylan.
Hello everybody, it's time for some Making Kayfabe with your boys Bryce and Dylan, and this week we're going to take you through exactly what to expect in Season 3, or roughly at least. This is our final bonus episode before we release Season 3, and we're pretty excited. It's exciting. Are you excited, Dylan?
I'm so excited, you have no idea.
He can barely contain his excitement. He's that excited.
I'm about to explode with excitement. My doctor says I'm extremely sick.
Yes, that's not a common, normal condition. Yeah, I'm glad you're seeing a doctor about that.
Yeah, he didn't know what he didn't know what to do about it. Never seen this before. Good luck, buddy. I'm like, I don't want a doctor to say good luck. I want a little bit more than that, please. You know.
Yeah, like all the best kind of thing. Like,
yeah, it doesn't put a lot of confidence in you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Over the last few months, we've collected episode suggestions via like Twitter DM, email, and the Season 3 survey we sent out last month, and we ended up with like fucking loads of episode suggestions. I think it's more than like 70 now. It was like 60 odds when I put the tweet out a couple of days ago, but now it's like more came in after that. So, but what Dylan and I are going to do today is we're going to select 3 episodes each, which will definitely be featured in Season 3. And we're going to discuss them a bit, and then the other 6 episodes for Season 3 will be a mystery. And also we have an Ask Kayfabe Anything segment at the end of the show. We put a post up on Twitter asking you to ask Kayfabe anything, and you did. So got some great questions to go through, and we'll get to that after we preview Season 3. But before we go into the discussions and reveals and such, I want to give a quick shout out to Jamie McNally Jones, one of our loyal listeners who celebrated their birthday last week. So happy birthday, Jamie. For your birthday, Dylan actually wrote you a poem. So Dylan, you have the floor.
Happy birthday, Jamie. You are good at... What rhymes with Jamie?
Not much.
Alright, wait. Jamie, Samey,
Blame me? I want to blame me, Jamie.
Blame me, Jamie. Well, that's interesting. Are you a poet?
I mean, sort of.
So, I mean, you do poetry, so yes.
So, if it wasn't obvious, I completely sprung that on Dylan there.
You know what was really annoying, right? Once you said that, I didn't even, I totally no-sold it. I'm like, I can easily come up with a poem on the spot right now. Here we go. And, I delivered the first line with such confidence. And by the beginning of the second line, I had already just gone off the rails. I'm like, I don't have this at all. This is an embarrassment. I'm so sorry, Jamie, that I couldn't do you any better justice. But hey, I tell you what, next birthday. Oh,
next year, you're a booker. You're not a poet. You're a booker. So yeah,
I'll book you a poem then, Bryce. I'm gonna need a poem. It's gonna be
this poem.
You gotta get to 10 minutes to give me this poem, all right? And there's gonna be a camera break in the middle of it, and I don't want any of this fucking around, flipping off the top shit. Okay, all right. And also, you win with your finish. All right, let's go.
Right, perfect. So without further ado, let's start the episode. So yeah, it's going to go in the order of Bryce Dylan, and we're basically going to select three rebookings each that we're going to cover in Season 3 over the next kind of 12 weeks. So yeah, and I'm going to start off with telling you all what's going to be the very first episode of Season 3. So without further ado, I can reveal that next week on Making Kayfabe, when Season 3 begins, I am going to be rebooking Luke Harper.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't lie to you, this wasn't always planned. Obviously, you all know the reason why. Luke Harper, Brody Lee is the subject of the next Making Kayfabe rebooking. It's really just to pay tribute to the guy. It was and is incredibly sad that the guy left us so soon, and chokes me up even trying to talk about it, to be honest, because I watched that awesome tribute show that AEW did recently. But 41 years old, man, it's a damn shame. Did you watch the Dynamite episodes?
I did. I gotta say, I've had my problems with All Elite Wrestling this year or last year, but I tell you what, man, that was a lovely episode. They handled that. There was a real tribute to that guy. They did a really good job of that. You can't knock him for that, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a 10 out of 10 tribute show. Everything that should have been done was done, and just there's so many And at the same time, it was a proper wrestling show as well. Like they had stories going into it, and like my eyes were streaming like during it. Like I wept like there was no tomorrow. I was holding it together pretty well at the start of the show, but like see when the 6-man tag match, the Silver, Reynolds, and Page versus the Inner Circle, the ending to that match was just like so fucking perfect. Like from MJF getting hit with the kendo stick by -1, and to Eric Rowan coming out, and Silver, he used Brody Lee's kind of clothesline, discus clothesline finish to win the match, and then Rowan came back with a sign, and like it's just so beautifully done, man. It was perfect. It really was, and very 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 sad. Sad tribute show, but perfect way to kind of like celebrate the life of Brody Lee, Luke Harper, whatever you want to call him, But the reason I'm not doing Brody Lee is because I generally think he was booked perfectly in AEW. I'm not going to be one of those guys who says, "Oh, like Brody Lee was my favorite wrestler ever," but legitimately, like him. Absolutely. I don't know if you remember this one, if you watched this episode, but there's an episode where he like just absolutely fucking destroyed Cody Rhodes in the space of 5 minutes. And like, that's legit like one of my favorite moments of the year. It was just so unexpected how much, because Cody was on like a massive winning streak, I think. And then just this big monster comes in and, just literally, I think it was less than 5 minutes, and just it was so unexpected. He just dominated the match. And I think AEW is kind of where he showed exactly what he could be, and where he had the most momentum at any point of his career. And I think it's where he came into his own as Dark Order's leader, and where he kind of started fleshing out the group and being the elite and stuff. And I think that momentum he never really achieved it in WWE. So that's why I'm going to focus on Luke Harper rather than Brody Lee, because Brody Lee was just a perfect portrayal by him in AEW, but like Luke Harper wasn't really given much of a chance. So
yes,
and I think in hindsight, and probably at the time too, WWE could have done a lot more with Luke Harper, and that's how we're going to kick off season 3 with a big old rebooking to Big Rig.
The Big Rig. I agree with you. I think that the WWE. It's another case of those guys dropping the ball with somebody pretty bad. And I don't know about you, right? Because I know a lot of people don't really share this, but I always really liked the tag team with Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. I thought those two guys worked really well together. Yeah. And they had a really good look. When you see those two motherfuckers coming down at you, you're like, this shit's going to hurt. They're going to beat the hell out of me. Yeah. So it worked. Those two guys together, I thought was a really cool thing. And I'm like, I wish that, like, if I was rebooking it, which of course I'm not, you are, but I would focus more on like them as a tag team, because I thought they both had a lot of potential. And then because Eric Rowan was a bit greener than Harper, you could easily do like have that tag team go for a couple of years, dominate, then you could do a turn, and then you can actually, like with Edge and Christian, for example. Had those guys as a team to the point where everybody loved them, and then you do the turn, and then you make it, make sense. And Harper can be the heel, and Rowan could be in the face, and then you've got 2 new guys you can use who are fucking huge, and you can actually use them for stuff.
Do you know that was part of it as well? It's like how many tag teams do you have where it's legitimately just 2 huge guys, especially in WWE? Because like generally, if you're a big guy in WWE, you're going to the main event kind of thing, But it's so weird not weird, but it's so different to see these 2 guys who are like 6'6", 6'7", something like that, huge guys, and tag team matches, and they could have been a proper formidable kind of tag team if they were given a shot, and they were to an extent, but I mean, but there could have been a lot more done with Luke Harper, and I'm going to try and cover some of the Wyatt family. I'm going to try and cover some of his relationship with Eric Rowan, and just kind of see where it gets us. I've yet to write it, but I've got a few ideas in my head. So this time next week, folks, that's what we're going to cover in episode 1 of season 3. It'll be Luke Harper. So Dylan, who is the first person that you've picked out of the list of suggestions?
Well, it's funny, man. I was thinking about doing the Wyatt family too, because that was a suggestion that came in a lot, and I was pretty sure you were going to do Brody Lee to open season 3. So I'm kind of on the fence about whether or not to do the Wyatt family as well, because that was a big requested one. Wyatt family popped up a lot, and I feel like there's a lot of room to tell a lot of good stories with the Wyatt family. So I don't know if I should do if I should go with that, because I've got other options as well.
Yeah.
Another one I was thinking of, which was suggested or partially suggested by somebody, was they suggested Mike Awesome in the WWE ECW. And I think Mike Awesome is a great subject to do making kayfabe about, but I would do it about WCW Mike Awesome, because that was a shit show. What, to be expected. That was WCW in 1999.
At that time, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What do you expect? Some good wrestling, because that sailed out the window a long ass time ago. They did like they him in like 1999 or 2000. Maybe it was 2000. Maybe he was in WCW or ECW in 1999. I'm getting my time frame mixed up a little bit, but in WCW, he was not used to his full capabilities, shall we say. I think we can all agree on that. He was, they dropped the ball with that guy, and he could do so much, and he showed all the stuff he could do. You notice whenever WCW brought guys in from ECW, they saw all the stuff they could do, and they were like, we're not even going to touch that.
It.
No.
Well, do you know what it was? Like, to your point, like, one of the things Mike Awesome's known for is that he's a fucking huge guy. And, like, as far as I remember, they debuted him in WCW against who? Like, fucking Kevin Nash, the only other guy that's, like, massively taller than him, and, like, just made him look average right from the offset. And, like, I'm, like, I enjoy it. I enjoy a good Mike Awesome match. Like, I know that he's one of the most unsafe workers ever, and, like,
wow.
He would just fucking brutalize you, but I mean, he could have done a lot more. And like, even when he went to WWF briefly, he wasn't used very well. He was just a kind of jobber. So it's a shame that he never got a fair shake in his career other than ECW. But I think you could do a lot of good things to Mike Awesome. I know you like the guy, and like you've got a lot more knowledge on WCW than I do for sure. So
well, that's the thing. I really wanted to do more from WCW, because I talk a lot about how shitty it was, and it was shitty. Let's not even pretend that the latter years of WCW just didn't suck a million dicks at once. It was, but like, some of it was great to watch, because you're like, I can't believe this shit's on TV. If you have the network, go back and watch a random episode of WCW Thunder from the year 2000, and you will either have a great or a terrible time.
Question your sanity, maybe. I think, yeah. But by the way, this is now no longer in order. Like, we're not going to announce like the first 6 episodes of season 3.
Oh, yeah.
Like, these will likely be moved around somewhat. Like Luke Harper, he will kick off the season, but the other ones we're talking about will feature in season 3 at some point, basically. So, like, I just touching briefly on what you said about the Wyatts as well. I mean, you're the man for booking stables. 2 of our most loved episodes are Right to Censor and NWO, who you've booked, really, really well. So we could maybe it ends up in Luke Harper to kick it off, and then Wyatt family to end the season, like maybe something like that. But
I was thinking about that too. I think that might be a cool idea.
Yeah, something we can definitely play around with. We'll see what the listeners think. But yeah, the next one I've got, and it was so hard to choose, like from the huge list we got. But there's so much potential in all of them. But there's one I wanted to flesh out and do something with, because this guy is this Dylan, but this guy is one of my favorite wrestlers, and it's a Hurricane. It's Hurricane Helms. And what do you mean? Oh,
I thought you were gonna pick Mike Awesome again.
Yeah, just Mike Awesome. Like, I love Mike Awesome. Like, the rest of season 3 is going to Mike Awesome rebooking various like 70s guy, Fat Chick Thriller, ECW Mike Awesome, WWF Mike Awesome. Like, got a lot to look forward to in season 3, fellas. But no, seriously, the Hurricane. Literally, when I was growing up as a wrestling fan, like my pre-teens and teens, I loved Hurricane so much. He had the perfect gimmick and style for younger fans. And he's got his flashy kind of green outfit, his super cool moveset. But like you know what really pissed me off about the booking of the Hurricane?
He didn't win everything.
He beat The Rock.
Yeah.
And then nothing happened. Nothing happened. Like he beat The Rock in the lead up to WrestleMania 19. The match he had with The Rock led to Rock versus Austin 3. But do you want to guess what Hurricane's match was at WrestleMania 19 after pinning the biggest star in the company?
He was in the hardcore match.
He was in no match whatsoever. He wasn't in a match. What the fuck? Nathan Jones had a match.
Nathan Jones.
Val Venus had a match, and the Hurricane wasn't after beating The Rock. I could go on for fucking days about the Hurricane, but
I've got a story about that. I remember watching an episode of Raw. I think it was in the year 2000 when Triple H was the champion. It might have been going into WrestleMania. I don't remember, but Triple H was the champion. Triple H in the year 2000, pretty hard to beat, right?
Yeah.
And he had a match with the Godfather because it's Triple H, right? He's like, yeah, I'll fight the Godfather. I'm not going to fight Steve Austin, but I'll fucking, remember he was fighting Taz? He's like, yeah, I'll fight. Yeah. So they have this like 8-minute match or whatever. The Rock comes out and distracts Triple H. Godfather pins Triple H.
Nice.
And I'm like, whoa, the Godfather just pinned the world heavyweight champion in the middle of the ring. Where's his title shot?
Coming to this guy. Yeah, exactly.
Where's his title shot? What the fuck? Big Show was in WrestleMania and the Godfather isn't. I mean,
do you know what I thought you were gonna say? Like, there's one thing that I remember. I think it was Triple H. Like, really testing my memory now because this is like my early days of watching wrestling. But there was a match, and I believe it was Triple H versus Taka Michinoku, of all people, when he was like in the kind of comedy kind of Kai-Tai gimmick.
Yeah.
And there was a part of the match where Triple H, he got distracted by something, and then like I think Funaki came in, done a move to Triple H, and then Taka Michinoku done like a top rope, I think it was a drop kick or a moonsault or something, and then like it was like Triple H kicked out at like 2.99999, like the last fucking millisecond he could have kicked out, and like the crowd just went absolutely crazy. Like Taka Michinoku almost beat Triple H, and then like I believe there's no follow up to that either. So it's like, why even bother, man? Just have Triple H squash Taka Michinoku. Like,
was that the match where I remember watching a match like that? It was Triple H versus somebody else, and you're like, wow, this could be a good match if they let it be a good match, right? Whoever it was, might have been Taka, and like, so I wanted to watch this match, and I started watching it, and like, no exaggeration, I can't remember if it's the same match we're talking about, but there is a match with Triple H in it where, while all this shit's, maybe it was Lance Storm, I don't remember, but like, while all this shit's happening in the ring, the majority of the match is just like, oh, remember the McMahons? Here's a video package about the McMahons. Here's the McMahons backstage. There's Triple H in the ring. He just hit the guy with the knee lift. Here's the McMahons. And I'm like, fuck the McMahons. I want to watch the wrestling match.
It might have been that. Like, I'll need to go back and find the clip, but it's one of those moments that just made me love wrestling, because like this Taka Michinoku guy can somehow almost beat Triple H, and then nothing happened, and then like maybe that's the moment making Kayfabe was reborn or born even. So little 8-year-old Bryce watching wrestling, thinking I'm gonna host a rebooking podcast someday. But I'm really glad I saw Hurricane's name pop up because I jumped on it immediately. Hurricane deserves justice, and I'm gonna bring that for him in season 3, I think. So, but what's your second pick, Dylan? What do you got for us?
Okay, well, we all know that I'm the master of booking stables.
Mm-hmm.
We know this. We were even talking about the possibility of me doing the Wyatt family earlier. Maybe. So I have we got a suggestion about a stable, and when I saw that, I was like, I have to do this one. I
know who.
I'm sorry, Bryce, but I have to do this.
Dude, I'm very happy if it's who I think it is. So, who you got?
It's all right to censor again.
Oh, yeah.
Well, to be fair, I did the right to censor perfectly the first time. Can't go any further.
Can't prove that. No.
Yeah, it's perfect the way it is. Sanity.
Yes, that is exactly who I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, dude. Like a lot of look at the wasted potential in that group. They could have been huge. They could have been amazing. They could have done. This as soon as I saw that, like, you get so many ideas. You're like, oh, I could do this or that. There's plenty of like opportunities here. There is a real case of WWE dropping the ball big time. Bring up Sanity to the fucking main roster and just fucking piddle. Never show them on TV. Yeah. Never have this dominant stable that beat the hell out of NXT. Never have them do anything. Like, that just makes no sense.
Yeah, poor Eric Young, honestly. Like, legitimately one of the most underrated guys ever. He never
killing it in NXT, killing it.
He's such a good, even like in the ring, he's great. His promos are great. He really sold the kind of gimmick of Sanity really well in NXT, and they were awesome. And then, like, do you know what it was? And I genuinely believe this. It's because he wasn't big enough. Like, he's a smaller kind of guy. Why is this small guy leading the stable? You know, so that's the reason that they wouldn't have went so far with him. But even then, they had Killian Dane. You know, they had bloody Nikki Cross as well. Was in the women's division. She could have been great, and she is now actually, but not under Sanity. But oh man, like so much wasted potential in Sanity. So much.
Mm-hmm. So that's a lock for me. I'm like 100% doing that one. I got some big plans.
Big plans for Sanity. So my third and final pick for season 3, and this is one that was actually requested. I think it was three times. This has been requested so far. So it's something that I've wanted to do for a while, and I think I've spoken to you about it before as well, Dylan. But my third and final pick for season 3 is going to be the John Cena heel turn.
Yes.
So yeah, like I teased at the end of season 2, and like in season 3, I'm only going to go and rebook it. So or book it, I suppose, since it never actually happened. But yeah. But yeah, Cena's his heel turn. It was rumored for ages, like for a long time, and the rumors they kind of reached their kind of like height after WrestleMania 28. And like apparently he had all this site. I've been looking into it because I'm really excited to write this. But he had this new gear design for him. He had like a new entrance theme, and like Cena was like 110% behind the heel turn. But old Vinny Mac gave it a thumbs down at the very last second, so Cena could basically continue to be the the merchandise machine kind of thing, So and to this day, like we've never had the Cena heel turn, and probably never will get it now since he's even less than part-time at this stage. But it's a shame, but that's what making kayfabe's here for. So I cannot wait to rewrite John Cena's heel turn. That will feature in season 3, I absolutely promise you.
I am also looking forward to this because, like you said, it feels like it's been a long time coming, but also I feel like you have been thinking about this for a long time too. Ever since we started long time ago when we started this podcast, way back in the 1930s, so long back, we were eating rice out of the tin. It was a tough time for you and me. And right when we recorded our first episode about the CM Punk Money in the Bank business, you could tell you were like, I got plans for John Cena.
Yeah, exactly.
I got plans for this motherfucker.
It generally was one of the foundations of the podcast, and like, because it is such a what if, isn't it? I mean, you see these days like Roman Reigns is now absolutely fucking bossing it, his heel, and and just imagine if that was Cena kind of thing. But oh man, like, I mean, yeah, I just cannot wait to sink my teeth into that and talk about how Cena would turn heel and what he would be like and how it would conclude and all of that. So yeah. And by the way, about the us sitting eating rice, that actually was the case until very recently, until we sold a few T-shirts on at makingkayfabe.redbubble.com. So no rice anymore. So yeah,
I mean,
thanks, guys.
I still like rice. So
yeah.
I mean,
you still sit, but I'm sitting here now eating, lavish steaks and, the occasional hit of caviar,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, that's fine. You can cut the steak up, put it in the rice. Steak and rice. Lovely. Delicious meal. Steak and rice.
Steak and rice.
Anywho.
What's your final review for an episode of season 3 of Making Kayfabe?
Well, fun fact. I think we already mentioned it on the show earlier.
Oh.
And a little
Mike Awesome.
Mike Awesome a third time. Hope you guys like our new show, the Mike Awesome Report, where you just talk about Mike.
Season 3 is going to be awesome.
We don't even like him that much.
No, we actually don't.
I mean, he's good and all. He was great, but I wouldn't make a podcast about him. No.
Which is Viscera,
Yeah, of course. Viscera, leagues ahead of Mike Awesome.
Yeah.
He should have been called Viscera Awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Viscera Awesome. Anywho, let me get things back on track by saying that we got a request. We asked for it. We got a request for part 2 of the NWO.
Oh, nice one. Are you committing to that?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna put this on record and say that like while I was writing the NWO story to begin with, I cut it off at a certain point because I'm like I can't keep going. But since then, I've still had ideas. I'm like, oh, I can still work this. You know, I cut it off like right before SummerSlam. There's still half a year to go.
So much.
You know, you can wrap up some loose ends. I think that one is definitely gonna happen.
Oh man, like not a word of a lie. That is our most requested, part 2 rebooking kind of thing. We've had a few, quite a lot of part 2 requests for like Retribution. Even the Zombie was requested for a part 2. But like,
how do you do part 2 of the Zombie?
You just have him win the world title, have him win the Royal Rumble, like going to WrestleMania, headline WrestleMania, the Zombie. I don't know, man. Like it could be done, but like NWO was, I think, our most popular episode of season 2. So like I put up a poll on Twitter of our top. We basically asked what our listeners' favorite episode was in the survey we sent out, and then the top 4 of that I put into Twitter, and NWO won. So there you go, man. So that is a very, very hotly requested episode of season 3. So I'm very much looking forward to that, dude.
It's gonna be good. Very, very good. That's all I'm gonna say. You're gonna have to wait until the episode comes out before you see what happens.
Nice one. But if part 1's anything to go by, it's going to be fucking awesome. So, but yeah, that's our wee preview of season 3, folks. So, like, what have we got there? We got the John Cena heel turn. We're going to be doing Sanity, NWO part 2. We're going to be doing the Hurricane. Luke Harper, and obviously Mike Awesome. So yeah, that's at least 6 of the 12 episodes we're going to be doing in season 3, and like the other 6 are going to be a mystery. You know, I don't want to give away too much, but I want to leave a little bit of surprise in there. So that's what we've got planned for season 3 so far, folks. And yeah, just a lot to look forward to. I'm looking forward to writing so many of these rebookings that I've got kind of plans. We have a new segment of the show, or a segment of this show called Ask Kayfabe Anything, where listeners just submit questions to be read out and asked during this very episode. So let's see what we got in our mailbag here. I've always wanted to say that.
Wow,
let's check the Making Kayfabe mailbag here. Yeah,
Bryce, your mailbag looks so full.
It is ready to explode. It really is. As I check my phone. So.
Is your phone in the bag?
That's the majority of the bag, yeah.
Yeah. Your phone is the bag.
All right, so we asked Twitter to submit some questions for Ask Kayfabe Anything. So I'm just going to read these out in the order that they're shown on my screen. So we got XLR on Twitter, who has asked a few questions. The first one, this is a very interesting one actually. So he's asked, is it possible to book a rich babyface?
Yes, it is.
All right, next question. So,
I think so. I think you can make it's perspective. I mean, most of the rich heel gimmicks work because they use their money to humiliate people or to get one over somebody. But you can have a really rich guy be really nice and do lots of work for charities, and then the heels say, "Oh, fuck you for throwing your money away like that." Conflict right there, you know.
I mean, basically, like John Cena's gimmick almost was that, wasn't it? Because he was doing the whole Make-A-Wish thing, and like he's sponsoring this, and he's showing up for this, and
exactly. I mean, he was rich. He was rich in memories.
Yeah, exactly, and also in his wallet. Yeah, also.
Yeah. Oh, you see that we're in tune.
I like it. But yeah, it's interesting. Like, you couldn't imagine like a JBL being like a face, or like an MJF being a face. You know, it's like or $1 Million Man or whatever. So I think the best opportunity you'd have for a character like that to be a face is to have them run for long enough that the fans just kind of know them and like them. Like, I mean, when Ted DiBiase comes back these days, he gets the kind of cheap pop, doesn't he? Because he's a legend. So I suppose in a way you can. But yeah, interesting question. XLR is also asked. So. He's asked, it's a 2-part question. So what is your favorite wrestling maneuver and what is your least favorite wrestling maneuver?
My favorite wrestling maneuver is the Northern Lights suplex.
Oh yeah.
I think when you see Alicia Fox doing a Northern Lights suplex,
Alicia. I knew that was coming. Alicia
you're
Fox.
like, but it looks, but she does it perfectly. She's like,
she does.
It's like if you just watch a gif of that, you're like, I can watch this all day. It's like it's a piece of art. It's perfect when done right. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I think my least favorite wrestling move is like ones that don't really look like they're part of the fight. Like whenever do you remember X-Pac's old finisher, the X Factor?
Yeah, the
face buster, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of the times we see people do the face buster, they're putting their hands behind your head, and that forces you face first onto the ground. And I'm like, this doesn't look right at all. I feel like there are a shit ton of other moves you could do that would look more painful and more realistic, that would do more damage. I don't like that kind of thing,
Yeah. Totally. Like I don't know what mine would be. Like, I mean, my least favorite's probably Canadian Destroyer, because it just is in every fucking match these days. Like, every match, it's like a fucking lockup now. It's like a headlock. Canadian Destroyer is like gonna happen in most matches these days, and like occasionally it gets a good pop, and like, actually every time it gets a good pop, but occasionally it pops me. But just, I don't know, man. I don't want to. It's one of my main gripes about AEW. As much as I do like AEW, like every fucking match had a Canadian Destroyer, and it just can't be like that. And it's bizarre. But my favorite kind of moves are the ones that actually make contact. Like, it's boring to say, but I love a good clothesline. I love like a good lariat.
A good clothesline. Do you ever see Stan Hansen fucking kill?
Oh man, fucking going through the guy. Yeah. But like Okada's Rainmaker is really good, and like JBL always had a good clothesline because he just fucking ran through you.
That's what I loved. I loved about Bradshaw and Farouk is the two of them together. You're like, they're gonna beat the fuck out of you.
Yeah,
like there's not even no argument here. Like
nobody wants to go against them. Like no chance.
Bradshaw with his clothesline, but do you remember Farouk with his spine buster? Spine buster, like he throws you down, like he actually hates you.
Yeah,
he throws you down and looks at you like, what a piece of shit.
Damn. But also perfect. He's finished with the Dominator, right? Like I would never want to take that move.
Oh, dude, that shit looks super scary. Oh, speaking of really good moves, like I thought the Dominator was really good, and his spinebuster, Freak Spinebuster. The Dominator reminded me of I always liked the Burning Hammer.
Burning Hammer, yeah.
But that you rarely see that these days. So that's the point. So like whenever you do see it, you're like, holy shit, It's
that's it, because that's why I don't like Canadian Destroyer, because it's just so oversaturated and it's so overused. Like I used to enjoy it when Petey Williams did it back in TNA, but I mean now fucking Dustin Rhodes doing it, and like I don't like. I love Dustin Rhodes, but why are you doing a Canadian Destroyer? John Cena's doing it.
And again, first time you saw John Cena do it, you're like, wow, that's awesome. And then like the fifth time you see John Cena doing it, you're like, all right, dude, come on, get some other moves.
Like, it is a kind of move you should pull out in a big match. Like, like a main event, not fucking second match in the card.
Exactly. Not dicking around on like your TV show. Like save it for fucking something big.
Exactly. But hey ho. What else have we got? We got our good friend CJ Palmisano from the Not Another Wrestling podcast. He has asked, have you ever thought about rebooking an entire show?
Oh.
Yeah.
Like a pay-per-view?
Yeah, I'd imagine. Like, or maybe there's a particularly bad episode of Raw. Or
just the one.
Just one. Like today we're going to do Raw episode 777.
This today we're going to do Raw in the year 2020.
You can't fix that. But no, it's an interesting one. Like even I think it'd be fun to go back and reboot like a Russo era TNA show maybe, and just fix that shit. Like just like fucking electrified cages and like what was it? What was the one where they brought like a casket down from the ceiling, and then it was like I think it was Abyss and Sting, and like the casket came down after like 2 or 3 minutes into the match, and had to fucking wrestle around this thing in the middle of the ring, and just I don't know. Like, something could be done with that. Maybe that's a project I might take on. Just rebook a TNA show, that a TNA pay per view that Vince Russo's booked, because that could be That could be fucking awesome, actually.
Well, maybe that could be like a spin-off show if people are interested. Like, we could totally think about booking a pay-per-view like that, given the kind of circumstances around it at that time and what we had available. Like a little challenge episode or something. That's an interesting concept for a spin-off, I think.
It is actually, yeah. Like even a bonus episode or something. But something we can look into down the line, I think. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Andy McEwen has asked. So he has a few questions. So first of all, favorite match?
Oh, it's got to be the Hell in a Cell, right? Undertaker versus Mankind.
Very good match. Very good match.
I watch that match like all the time, and it still like gives me the shivers.
Yeah, it's brutal, and it is a great way to kind of to feature the Hell in a Cell, especially. So, like, I know that's been your favorite match for a long time, but mine is like my favorite match changes all the time. It really does. Like, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind at the moment is, and I don't know if you've seen this one, but there's a match between Jon Moxley and Tomohiro Ishii in New Japan. I think it was a G1, and like it was just fucking brilliant. Just beat the shit out of each other, and then just it was so interesting to see Jon Moxley working with someone like Ishii, because like Ishii is like a. Do you know much about? I don't think you watch much New Japan, right? Like,
no, I need to watch more, but no, I haven't seen a whole lot.
Tomohiro Ishii, he's basically like Taz. He's a smaller guy, like 5'6", 5'7" or something, but he will beat the fuck out of you. Like, he's a proper badass. And like, just seeing him going against like Jon Moxley, who's like 6'3", and just the actual dynamic of them fighting each other around the ring, and just like there's table spots involved as well. Like, I love that. But no, I could name 100 matches, but like that's the one that comes to memory for me at the moment. And like, I'll send you the link after this match, actually, because it's like after this match, after this episode, because it's a bloody good match. So
let me tell you what I thought my favorite match of 2020 was.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you what it was, but Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly, the first one they did it at the Takeover, because I haven't seen the one I haven't seen the most recent one, but that match at the Takeover that blew me away, because I hadn't seen a match like that in so long on WWE television or anywhere that year at all. And it was just two guys beating the shit out of each other, and it looked real, it felt real. It was really like, it's just fun to watch, man. Love that.
Man, I remember that. I remember watching that. It was the two awesome wrestlers, and like Kyle O'Reilly, man, like I fucking love Kyle O'Reilly. Like he's you know what, it reminds me of Kurt Angle, because he's like, you know, he's a badass, but he also does like comedy kind of spots as well in the matches, and he's a great kind of like geek, but he's a great kind of badass as well, because he's got the kind of legitimate kind of kicks and stuff, and he can wrestle a good match. But oh man, there's too many to pick from favorite match. Yes. But actually, Andy's also asked, what do you think has been the biggest disappointment for a hyped match? Now, my answer for that is Rock versus Cena WrestleMania 28, because I was fucking there, and yeah, it wasn't a great match. And also it followed like Undertaker Triple H Hell in a Cell, so that was the biggest disappointment for me for sure.
Yeah, but you got to see fucking Triple H versus Undertaker in Hell in a Cell though.
Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah, that was awesome. But yeah, Rock versus Cena not so much.
That's a shame. I love me some Rock, and John Cena, you know, definitely grown on me.
I like Cena. I do like Cena, but that match didn't do it for me. I was not satisfied after watching that match, basically. So, what about you?
I don't know, man. I feel like a lot of I don't know how hyped up they've been, but like a lot of the cinematic matches from 2020, I haven't been digging. But I guess they haven't really been hyped up that much, have they?
I don't know, like Undertaker, AJ Styles. Do you not enjoy that?
I thought that was the best one of the bunch.
Yeah,
I thought out of all of them, like that's the best one. If they'd have stopped there, I would have been a happy man. You know, like they did it once, that's fair enough. You know, the other ones after that, not so much. And even Undertaker versus AJ Styles, I think had build to it, and they think they delivered on that build. So I don't know, man. That's a thinker. I'm gonna think about that one.
I mean, I know how much you enjoy your Hardy compound matches.
Well, I tell you what, the one I actually disliked the Stadium Stampede match more than the Matt Hardy one. You
dislike it more?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
that was the worst match I'd seen in 2020.
Worst match.
If that question's coming up later, my answer is the Stadium Stampede match.
Oh man.
Yeah. I couldn't bear it. That match went on for 50 minutes.
And it was fucking awesome.
It went on
Adam
for
Page
50
was on a horse.
Matt Hardy drowned. Exactly, there's a horse. What was your favorite wrestling match? I like the one in the American Football Stadium with the horse where they tried to drown a man 3 times. Like, what part of that is wrestling? None of it.
All right, Jim Cornette.
I'm just saying, that's my pick.
I loved that, but I think that's where you and I have like different enjoyments of wrestling. I think because I love that shit. I love the Barbie shit, but yeah, I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. Like I remember us talking recently about MJF and Jericho doing the singing segment. Like I loved that, but I know you didn't, and that's fine. Like that's. But you know what, man? Like, you're entitled to your opinion, man. You are entitled to your opinion.
That's exactly it. Like that's the thing. We get this, you know. Like wrestling's subjective. It's you can watch it and enjoy it. And like I love MJF, and I think Jericho was a great fucking great versatile hand. That's why I think I was bummed because I'm like those guys could have done anything. They could have, But again, that's a difference of opinion, you know.
Exactly, man. But. Andy's also asked favorite entrance music, wrestling and real songs. So he uses an example like The Rock is the wrestling song and Edge's Rob Zombie is like a real song. So like for me, I'm thinking real song would be Finger 11, Kane. That fucking what's it? The Fire Burns or something it's called. But yeah, that is probably my favorite entrance music in all of wrestling. That one there. In regards to like wrestling entrance music, I can't really think that much. I always enjoyed Nakamura's theme. I always thought that was really good. But yeah, what were you thinking?
Well, if it's like a real song wrestling theme, my favorite is Cult of Personality by Living Color from a boy CM Punk. I love that song. I love when he used it. I loved all of that. In regards to my favorite kind of in-house music, there's been a lot of really good songs that they've made that I really dig. Like a lot of the older songs, like everybody talks about how great some of those old songs were. People still to this day tell me about how much they love the old Steve Blackman theme.
Steve Blackman.
Remember? But like you think about a lot of the music back then, like Mark Merrill's theme was banging, and Ken Shamrock's theme was banging. Test, remember Test? This is a test. Wiggle wiggle diddly 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 diddly, huh? Like that. We all know that song. Booker T had a great. Booker T had a great song, and I used to love his music. And I'll tell you who I really dig in these days is Dakota Kai and her heel theme music. It rips. If you haven't heard it, you're gonna send me that. You're gonna send me a John Moxley match, and I'm gonna send you Dakota Kai's theme music. It rips. It's so good.
I probably have heard it, but I can't place it in my mind at the moment. But yeah, send it through, man. But I was going to say, when you're mentioning like Steve Blackman's theme and Ken Shamrock's theme, do you remember Dan Severn's theme?
No.
Oh, dude, it is the most like it is the theme itself just says this guy is coming to the ring and he's gonna fuck you up. It's just like the most like slow like rock kind of like just oh shit he's coming kind of music. It's so good. Like I'll send you that as well, and I'll put it in the Twitter as well, because that is just the peak of wrestling music.
That's so funny, because the reason I was talking about the Steve Black, again, me and Corey were watching an old episode of Heat, and we were like, wow, Steve Blackman's music rocks, Ken Shamrock's music rocks, Mark Merrill's music rocks, and then Dan Severn came out, and we were like, I don't remember this guy's music at all.
Really? Oh man,
don't remember.
He's got the theme playing in the background. He's coming out with his grey kind of like shirt on. It's the sweat stained, and like he's got the kind of cold killer look in his eye. The big mustache. Oh,
there's a dude, Dan Severn. There's a guy we could rebook easily.
Dibs, fucking dibs on Dan Severn.
You know, I would.
Yeah, 100%. Like he could have been awesome. There's a great. I don't want to digress too much, but there's a great segment. I think it was like him qualifying for King of the Ring or something, and he's got like a submission hold on D'Lo Brown, and D'Lo Brown is just fucking screaming in this hold, and it's made Dan Severn look like such a killer. And like, oh man, like I might do Dan Severn in season 3. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see kind of how it goes. Dougbag at Dougbag has asked. Yeah.
That caught me by surprise.
What's your favorite character change in wrestling? Can be a turn or something subtler also. So yeah, your favorite character change in wrestling?
Oh, I mean, I'm probably like super biased because all of my shit's gonna be about Mankind. But like I loved him whenever he turned from like crazy deranged psychopath Mankind into kind of goofy, he's wearing a shirt and a tie for some reason, kind of more like Mick Foley kind of Mankind. I love that because it was whenever he did that turn, that's what got him over and kept him over, was you got to see his personality and you understood him as a person, and it was so unlikely as a concept for being a wrestling champion. The entire look and gimmick of Mick Foley as he was right there. He was still wearing the mask for some reason. Didn't have to wear the mask. But he kept doing it. That's my favorite change because we got Mick Foley out of it.
Yeah, totally. That's a good shout. And like I know you're a big fan of Foley, and it makes sense that that's your favorite because he's fucking awesome. But like mine would probably be, and it's weird because it was kind of short lived, but my favorite was Kurt Angle changing his character into the WWE ECW version of Kurt Angle, where it was like the wrestling machine, and like he's just fucking like headbutting people. He's just like he's a wrestling machine. He's a big badass now, and like he's not gonna do any of the funny shit anymore. Like this guy is a legit American gold medalist, and he's gonna fuck you up. Like he's gonna totally mess you about, and you've got no chance against him. And like just if he'd lasted in ECW, it would have been awesome. I think like that probably could have saved WWE ECW. I think
it's an interesting one. I mean, I agree with you. I think that was it was just a way to keep Kurt Angle fresh and bring ICW or ECW, and I wish it could have went on a bit longer.
Yeah, exactly. But there's never rebooking. But what have we got? We have Swinburnian, who has asked, what is the biggest missed opportunity in pro wrestling history? And he says, like a match that never happened, a wrestler who is mishandled, etc. What's the biggest, most glaring missed opportunity in pro wrestling, do you think?
I mean, that's tricky, man, because there's a lot of like qualifiers to that. For example, you could say Sting versus The Undertaker.
Yep, exactly.
Huge missed opportunity. But then at the same time, you could say Owen Hart or British Bulldog not being heavyweight champions. Missed opportunity there because those guys are workhorses. They could have pulled it through. You could say something like Cesaro, not getting to the top of the card. There is a missed opportunity right there. You could even say for other like Mustafa Ali, Retribution, like those guys deserve way more than they're getting. That's a missed opportunity. Sanity, we mentioned them earlier. Like they didn't even try with Sanity. They were like, fuck that. Dan Severn, we mentioned him earlier.
Yeah.
Didn't even try with that guy either.
Just listen to any episode of Making Kayfabe. Like the zombie. Like.
Yeah, well, yep. Could have been so much more.
I proved he was a big missed opportunity. But yeah, I mean, for me, I think that was my answer, Sting versus Undertaker. They were both in the company at the same time. There's just no fucking reason not to do it. And it's just a damn shame because it is like, I think it's like the ultimate dream match. But hey, what can you do? How about this one? Groucho has asked.
Is it Groucho Marx?
It's Groucho. He's got a picture of Stone Cold Steve Austin stunning Roddy Piper as he's. No, it's not Roddy Piper. Is it Roddy Piper?
I don't know. I can't see it.
Oh yeah, you can. Can you tell me? Like, it's Stone Cold Steve Austin and Roddy Piper, and he's pictured. But he's asked a really good question. He's here's one that will make you think. So, if you could bring back one 80s, 90s wrestler and place him in the modern day, who would it be and why? And the same goes for vice versa. So, if you could take like a modern day and put them back in the 80s, 90s.
I think if you take a guy. I'm going to have two answers for this.
Yeah.
Well, two answers to the second part. I think a guy like Daniel Bryan and a guy like MJF would work really good in the 80s because with Daniel Bryan, you've got a technical wrestler who could work that style, but was also like a plucky, underdog kind of babyface. And MJF, just as a Weasley old heel, could Ric Flair that whole generation, like I think those two guys would do really well.
Dude, MGF would fucking die in the 80s. He would be killed. He would.
Yeah, like he'd be such a heat magnet. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh man, like the crowd were much wilder in the 80s. Can you imagine MGF in ECW?
Oh,
Like, oh my god! Like, just imagine like Bubba Ray Dudley. Like, he was doing the whole like working the crowd up, and like people were running to the ring to attack him. Like MGF could have done that so much better.
that's one thing I love about Bubba Ray Dudley is he is not afraid to start shit talking with the audience. He will get straight up in somebody's face.
Oh man, that was it was a great clip of Bubba Ray Dudley just riling up. There's probably many, but there's
a lot.
Riling up. Oh man, but like taking a star from the 80s, 90s, like I mean, probably your probably mentioned earlier, probably your Taka Michinoku's could have been great in the kind of modern day. I know that Taka Michinoku still wrestles for still wrestles for in Japan and stuff like that. But I mean, going back further, obviously your Ricky Steamboats, your Randy Savages, like these kind of guys who just would have been incredible these days, I think. And Brian Pillman is an answer.
Yeah,
like
Pillman's,
he was years ahead of his time. And yeah, he could have been awesome as well.
I think a guy like Pillman or Owen Hart that we mentioned earlier would do really well these days because they're good enough personalities to get themselves over, but they can back it up in the ring. I think they would probably do a Savage as well. I think you're right on that one. Like he was so interesting to listen to, but also was just so fluid in the ring. That's he was very good. So yeah, I would say those ones make sense. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, but yeah, that's a really good question. Like, there's so many people. I'm just salivating at MJF and ECW now. Like, I could not imagine how that would be. It'd be so fucking good. Mm-hmm. But so we've got a couple more. We've got one from Chris Morale, and it's not really a question, but it's something that I wanted to air because it's fucking brilliant. So Chris Morale says, I want to see how Big Boss Man would be rebooked in WWF, his first run. He had some decent feuds, then WCW got fucked up trying to recapture the magic, or at least his name. Big Boss Man lives and starts a feud with Sasha Banks in your house 2020. Who is the boss?
Wow.
I mean, that is incredible.
I like the boss versus boss gimmick.
Yeah,
but then have Vince McMahon in as well as the boss.
Yeah, exactly. Bruce Springsteen, get him involved.
Springsteen, yeah. That's it. Those are all the bosses. There were no more. The Bowser.
Bowser, yeah, final boss, yeah, of course.
Yeah. You could have put him in there somewhere.
I said back to him, like, there's no point in us rebooking that because you've just nailed it.
Done a pretty good job of it, yeah.
You can't get better than that. And we've got one more question, and this is one that will make us think. It's actually from Andy McEwen as well, and he has asked. Now, I want you to think about this one because it's a very serious question, Dylan. But
okay.
Do you think, right? Do you, Dylan, think that Nathan Jones would have been more successful with a crab gimmick?
I think if you localize the crab gimmick to a certain part of his body, for example, the hands.
His dick.
Well, hey, I don't know if that's you. I've never seen a crab's dick, so I wouldn't know if that's a good replacement. Because like replacing my hands with crab hands, I can see the advantages and disadvantages that way.
Yeah.
But if a guy was like, "Do you want to swap your dick for a crab dick?" I'm like, I don't know. I'd have to go and look at a crab dick.
Google search.
What's a crab dick look like?
Oh man, that's something I'm not going to Google. But yeah, I mean,
I'm going to Google. You're going to show me a John Moxley match, and I, in response, going to show you a picture of a crab's dick.
Well, I think if you search that on Google, you're going to get something else coming up. Crabs and dick. Yeah.
Oh my god! Hey, you're gonna see it in about 20 minutes, dude.
No, I'm not. I'm blocking you right now. Goodbye forever, friends.
Can you make that the thumbnail of this YouTube video? It's just
nope. But Nathan Jones, like, if you had crab hands, like, imagine how devastating a chokeslam would be. Getting chokeslammed by big crab hands.
What if he gripped you too hard and he like chopped your head off?
He'd win.
Crab hands.
He'd win the match.
No, he would lose the match.
Why?
He was disqualified for killing an opponent.
That's not against the rules.
I would say killing a guy with crab hands is definitely a disqualification.
Show me the wrestling rulebook.
If I were the referee in that ring, I would call for a DQ because like the guy didn't tap out. You can't really pin him. It's not.
But he also can't answer the free count.
Right, because he's dead. Therefore, match had to be stopped.
I don't know, man. Like,
okay. Well, let's see what the people think. Ask the people.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about crab hands? Do you think that if Nathan Jones accidentally crab-handed somebody, just whoops, he accidentally crab-handed someone's head off? Like, do you think that would be a disqualification, or would he win the match? Like, let us know. I think that's the end of the questions. I think that's.
I very much enjoyed those questions. I thought they were a lot of fun. They weren't as crazy. I thought we were gonna get some really crazy territory, but we already really got into crab dick territory. That's not too bad, you know. So
I mean, yeah, we ventured into a bit of crab dick, so
we strayed away from it again. We didn't dwell on it too much, so I enjoyed that. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Well, in fact, there's one more actually. It's sorry, it wasn't a comment on one of our posts asking for questions for Ask Kayfabe anything, but it's a good point to bring up. Guy called Centralist Phil. He says that he'd like to hear a few storylines from the late 80s or early 90s, and he says it might be a bit before our time, but I mean. For me, it actually is. Like I would love to do like late 80s, early 90s, but it's just I couldn't do it justice. I just could not without knowing kind of what was going on around then. I know vaguely, but without knowing in depth and what kind of things we could use to our advantage with like bringing these stories together. Like, I mean, I imagine are you kind of the same, or like do you know?
No, I have a couple of ideas. I think that. I'm not going to tell you that it's going to be in season 3, but I have been thinking about, well, like I said earlier, I was thinking about doing Owen Hart and Bret Hart and stuff like that from like the mid 90s. But a guy like Bam Bam Bigelow, I think deserves way more kind of credit than he got. And I think he's one of the best big men. So I would love to rebook maybe like late 80s, early 90s kind of Bam Bam and do something there.
That's great. So yeah, I mean, there we go. There you go, Phil. So we're going to be getting some late 80s, early 90s kind of Bam Bam booking at least.
Yes, I don't know when that'll be because, like we said, we got a lot of stuff already on the books and we got a lot of ideas. But that's one I've been thinking about doing, and there's been a couple of other ones just from people like that kind of. Once you start going too far back into the 80s, you kind of lost me there. But like early 90s, I've got some tag teams I'm keeping my eyes on. And of course, you know who I'm talking about. Men on a Mission, Mabel and Mo.
Oh, yeah.
Who is Mabel? That's right, it's Viscera.
We're just rebooking the entire career of Viscera, starting at Mabel.
Yes.
Yes, there we go. So we'll get some kind of late 80s, early 90s stuff in the podcast as well to keep it a bit varied. So we've got. I
want to try and do a lot of different times. Like I want to do time periods and different companies as well. Like I've done the All Elite Wrestling Women's Division. I'm going to do Mike Awesome WCW. I'd like to try and do some from different companies in different time periods,
Awesome, man. We've got Kevin Molnar's game for that as well. He replied to the tweet saying that he would love to see us rebook the WrestleMania 4 tournament. Like, what if DiBiase won, kind of things. So these are things we could look into in the future, definitely.
What if Viscera won it?
Oh my God!
Think about that, fellas. Think about it.
But I think that's all the questions. I apologize if I've missed your question. I'm pretty sure I've went through all of them there.
If we missed your question, please send it again.
Yeah, and we'll do it again. So
we'll do it again.
No, that's it. That's it. The final bonus episode of before season 3. Season 3 is going to kick off next week. So yeah, next week, which will be January 19th. Making Kayfabe is going to return to its regular format where we will take 12 missed opportunities in pro wrestling and rebook them over a kind of 12-week period to make them better. There's some good shit coming your way, my friends. I'll tell you that. There's a hell of a lot of Mike Awesome. But seriously, like, thanks to everyone for listening to this. Our listener numbers have shot up dramatically for the launch of season 3 compared to season 2, and like we're just fucking over the moon to have you all on board. Like, you're a great bunch, and it's crazy to look at on our podcast hosting app and see kind of all, because how much of the world making kayfabe has reached, like when Dylan and I started this thing, we're expecting to have like 3 listeners in the UK, like two of which were you. Yeah, exactly. So, but like honestly, whether you're in the UK, the US, Canada, Australia, Bangladesh, Mexico, Bulgaria's there as well, Greece, Bosnia,
Finland? Wasn't it Finland?
Our Finnish homies, yeah, like
fucking Finland people.
In Finland.
Whenever we can travel, we're going to Finland. We're going to drink some Finland beers and ski. We're going to go skiing and
do a live show for all our Finnish homies. Yeah,
love you guys.
But yeah, India, Italy, like wherever you listen to Making Kayfabe, like Dylan and I we're very excited to bring you season 3 and can't wait to show you what we got. So. But in the meantime, you can buy the official Making Kayfabe t-shirts at makingkayfabe.redbubble.com. You can check out our daily posts on Twitter at Making Kayfabe. You can email us at makingkayfabe@gmail.com. And if you're already doing that, or if you don't want to do any of that, please at least leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. It does do a lot for us, and we appreciate it big time. But you got anything you want to add, Dylan?
I think you covered pretty much everything, dude. We're just super, super thankful to everybody who listens to our show. I can't believe it, man. It's fucking crazy. So thank you very much for listening, guys. We really appreciate it.
Hell yeah. Thanks, everyone. So thanks for listening, guys. And we'll see you next week for my rebooking of Luke Harper. Take care, everybody.